Hi, my name is Kath Ebbs. My pronouns are they, she. I am partnering today with Bupa to talk about coming out. I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people, the traditional custodians of this land in which this series is filmed, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. I think if you're thinking about whether or not you're queer, you very well could be. We live in like a very heteronormative, cis-centric world. So coming out can be this kind of like confusing thing because the messaging that you're constantly surrounded by and almost like gaslit into thinking is that I am cis and straight. So anything outside of that can be confusing and hard to navigate. I know for me personally, coming out was a journey and I took on a lot of different identities and went through a lot of, different internal feelings and landed on today I'm a very proud genderqueer lesbian, but I'm also open to that kind of changing and evolving because of the way society is constructed. I don't think coming out or someone's queer journey is a linear and straightforward. So I think if you think you are, you probably are, and just embrace that and let it evolve. And it's exciting. You're on a journey and enjoy it, embrace it. Coming out looks different to everyone. I think the biggest thing to consider when thinking about coming out is definitely risk assessment. So whether it is safe or not for you to come out, whether that be the environment is not set up, or that you don't have the proper support systems in place for when you do decide to do that. So I think the first thing to always consider is whether it is safe or not for you to come out. If it is safe for you to come out, my biggest tip would be creating some sort of support system for yourself on that journey, whether that be a trusted friend, peer, a family member, or maybe a support system. There's many beautiful organizations that can create those systems for you. Once you have that, I think it helps alleviate the pressure in the coming out. If the person or people you are coming out to are not yet ready to hold space for you, you have a reliable source to go to in the meantime to hold space for what you're experiencing. It's also always important to remember that there is no rush in coming out. Whether you are out or not, it doesn't change your gender, sexuality, it doesn't change your queerness at all. So take your time with it, make sure you have the right support system around you, and don't rush it. It's your personal journey, you don't owe that to anyone else. I think in terms of people not taking you seriously or some gatekeeping that can go on within queerness, again, firstly, it's important to assess risk. So whether, it's important to, not be outwardly queer because of your safety. But if the only reason to you not coming out is that you think people won't take you seriously or that you're not queer enough, I say screw that and definitely come out. There's no one way to be queer, and I think personally that is something that I still experience now as someone that is very comfortable in their sexuality and gender and has done a lot of work on myself. I'm also a very active member of the queer community, and even I go through times and have thoughts and feelings that I'm not queer enough, I'm not allowed to take up space. But honestly, that just comes from, again, living in a very heteronormative, cis-centric world where we're taught that there's only one way. I think too, society likes to put people in general into boxes and categories, and so when you do come out, you might still be figuring out where exactly you fit on that spectrum, but as you're figuring that out, there's all this noise of people being like, you need to make a decision and stick to it, and you might not be ready to do that. You might never be ready to do that. I'm very open to changing within my queerness because I know that it is a journey that will be forever because of the world and the social constructs in which we live in. So I would say if you're feeling the pressure or that you're not queer enough, or you haven't quite decided where you fit on the spectrum, or you're worried that it is just a phase, screw that. It's a journey, enjoy it, And anyone that wants to gatekeep your queerness, they're definitely probably just projecting their own insecurities onto you. So to that we say ta-ta and live your life. I think we need to normalize changing identities after you come out, especially a lot of queer folk, like myself, come out during adulthood. And I feel like when you grow up without a language to how you're feeling, so instead you shapeshift in what society tells you should be feeling and presenting like and identifying as, and then you're introduced to queerness and people that have similar experience to you and all these different, words and languages and ways to identify. It's really exciting, but it can also be really confusing, and there is a lot of change that goes on. Again, for me personally, I came out, identified as bisexual, then pansexual, and now I'm a proud genderqueer lesbian. That could change again. I'm open to that, I don't know. But I think, if someone wants to put you in a box and make you stay there and you feel this pressure to do so, it's again just society's social constructs and heteronormative ways playing out, and that is the total opposite to what queerness means and the exploration that occurs within our community. So I think it's really important to normalize being able to change identities, and it's also very, very okay to change your mind and change how you choose to identify the more you learn about yourself and the more you come into your queerness. The best way allies can support the LGBTQIA+ community is to listen, learn and engage, whether that be on the internet, on your television screens, or in your personal life. Hearing our stories and hearing about the issues that affect us is really important. I think too, as an ally, it's important to educate other people on the issues that surround our community and make sure that you're using your voice for good. It's really important for allies to use their privilege in order to bring queer stories to the forefront. There's a lot of issues that affect queer people, and unfortunately we live in a society that does not put our stories, our experiences and our rights at the top of the list. So if allies can use their privilege in order to move, that energy, the better it is for us. So yeah, I think allies, use your voice to help our community have a voice. The best way to support someone that has just come out to you is by firstly just holding space for their experience, creating a safe space just by being there and listening and not projecting any of your own feelings or thoughts that might be coming up. I think too, it's always important, just as like a general thing, just to love on that person. I think we forget sometimes it's usually taking that individual a lot of steps to get to the point of coming out. So just honoring that moment and that milestone and just loving on that person is so, so important, because it takes a lot of courage to come out, and it's probably taken a lot of confusion and angst and feelings in order to get to that place. So yeah, I think something else I would say was just would be love on that person and hold space for that person. I think outside of that, it would be, educating yourself. There's so many resources now on the internet. There's so many amazing activists online and creators that are doing amazing work in order to educate, allies. So yeah, maybe after that person comes out to you, taking some time out of your day to educate yourself on queer issues, so then you're more well informed to help support that person and maybe help educate people around your circle so everyone can create this beautiful safe space for that person that has just come out.